one way to think about Brock, how good is he really, is he's only 24 years old. How does he compare to the quarterbacks in this draft? Like, I don't think Brock Purdy would be necessarily seen as a top 5 pick, but compared to these other first round picks, let's compare him to JJ McCarthy.
Okay.
JJ McCarthy just won the national championship with Jim Harbaugh. He's got a live arm. He's kind of athletic. He's a little bit bigger than Brock. Do you think he'd be more appealing to NFL teams right now on the open market than Brock?
No. I'd take Brock Purdy over JJ McCarthy right now. JJ McCarthy has a small sample size in college, and he played with like a really loaded roster. Now, I understand that in some ways you could look at Brock Purdy and say, well, Brock Purdy's playing with a loaded roster. Yeah, well, Brock Purdy's also playing against other NFL teams as well.
Yeah.
So I just feel like I don't want to squash like what I feel about him as a prospect. But in this debate, I feel like it's a no-brainer for you to look at like a rookie, young upstart guy coming in, big arm, but he's not accurate. When he pushes the ball out, it lofts. He overthrows targets. He often has times with accuracy issues. And one of the biggest things that I see in him is that when he does get pressured, he's wildly inaccurate and he bails athletically. Now, we have to say, I understand taking off in college is one thing, but let's see what taking off in the NFL does for JJ McCarthy down the line in his career. I mean, one aspect of Brock's career is that he has shown the ability to not only be mobile, get downfield, create plays outside of the pocket when things break down, but the biggest thing of all is protect himself, right? You know, with the elbow injury notwithstanding, like Brock has done an amazing job at keeping himself upright as much as that he can. And I feel like we are kind of keeping the debate in like the cellar. Let's bring it up to the main floor. Brock and this kid processing is 2 universes away. Like, as far as being able to move through an offense, Brock is asked to do way more than a quarterback like JJ McCarthy is asked to traverse through on his offense. So, no, I think right now, if you looked at all of the quarterbacks that are out right now, you would look at Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, and JJ McCarthy coming in. I would probably take Caleb Williams
and Jaden
Daniels.
Those 2. And that's the first pick in the draft and maybe the second pick in the draft or the 5th pick in the draft. What's interesting, I'm looking at CBS. They have JJ McCarthy as the 18th best prospect in the draft, regardless of position. 18. This dude with his 700 throws at Michigan. So if that's where he would go, then to me, Brock Purdy is got to be above that. He's worth a top 15 pick in the draft right now. If the Niners wanted to trade him, which they don't, of course. But if they wanted to, he'd have to be worth the top 15 pick in this draft.
Yeah. Like, could Jaden Daniels have came in and taken us to the Super Bowl or came in and won 8 straight games with us? I mean, Jaden Daniels at Arizona, Jaden Daniels had to transfer just to get to LSU to come on, and he's only given us 1 year. I mean, Caleb Williams, he plays at USC, and to be quite frank with you, I don't get it. I know that's a hot take, man, but I don't get it with Caleb Williams. I really don't. And Drake May is solid. He's really good. Is somebody who has a lot of upside, but that's somebody who I would take over Brock. But then again, you still don't know what you get from the neck up, from the processing standpoint, right? Because good.
Yeah, then it's not just processing with Brock too. I think one of the things that people didn't understand is how mature and ready for the pressure of being the Niners quarterback he was. Like, he stepped in right away, told George Kittle to shut the hell up, and it's my huddle. I mean, I don't know JJ McCarthy that well, but I did watch the national championship, and they made a big deal about how he had his therapist on the sideline with him. You saw that?
Yeah, he does like yoga and all of this like really like mental health, higher learning stuff. I'm gonna tell you this right now.
I'm sorry.
I understand that they virtue signal that in the NFL because it's good for optics and marketing, but there is really no place for that in the NFL.
No,
honestly,
you can't have your therapist on the sideline with you in an NFL game. I mean, nothing wrong with going to therapy, but like, you can't have mental health checkups mid-game.
You cannot have somebody talking you through situational stuff during the games.
No, that is not Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy doesn't need little check-ins. Absolutely not.
Quite frankly, that's one of the reasons why Trey is not here. It's because there were a lot of mental obstacles that he had to get through. So no, you can't bring in like your your perforated.
And nothing
like,
against
mental
JJ.
crutch.
Like when I watched that, what I felt was, oh, he's young. Look, he's still a kid. You know, he's playing in the in the national championship. A lot of pressure. God love him, but man, look at eating alive in the NFL doing stuff like that. And what's cool about Brock is how ready he was. I don't look at JJ McCarthy checking in like that mid-game, pre-game, thinking, oh yeah, he's just put him on the Niners. He'd be just as good as Brock. He have a mental breakdown.
Yeah, especially dealing with Kyle.
Look at Jake Moody. I mean, Jake Moody went to the same school, dealt with the same pressure. Came to the Niners. The Niners thought he was ready too, man. Michigan plays in some big games.
I remember that. Remember that. Like,
yeah, sure
Jake has played in some huge games. He'll be ready.
He knows what it's like.
Dash.
He played for Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, so did JJ McCarthy. I don't know. So that to me is interesting. They got JJ McCarthy as the 18th pick in the draft, potentially. Well, then Brock Purdy should be looked at as more than just a system quarterback. I mean, I think he'd be better on most teams than JJ. I haven't watched every Michigan game. Maybe some Michigan fans here disagree, but what I saw was a guy who was not accurate. He would sail.
He's not accurate at all.
He's not.
No, he's
Good
not
athlete.
accurate.
Great
athlete. He's a great looking kid. Great athlete. You could tell that there's a lot of professional football hands that have been on him. He looks the part, right? Has his mechanics down, but as far as when it comes down to like the goods, like the raw playing, he's disjointed. It's not smooth.